Now, I've spent some time with Jalen Milroe this offseason and will continue to do so throughout the year. And I'm going to show you some clips today that might back up some of this early Heisman hype that you're hearing about already. Now, last year he finished 6th in the Heisman voting, even after getting benched early in the year, jumped back in the starting role, rattled off 10 wins, beat Georgia in the SEC championship, and had an appearance in the college football playoff that literally came down to the last play of the game. Now, I know there's a bunch of other great candidates out there, Quinn Ewers from Texas, Carson Beck, Dylan Gabriel, some other names that I think are going to end up on the list that you might not be thinking about right now. But Jalen has all the tools and a new coaching staff, a couple new dudes in the huddle to give him everything that he needs to cook up a memorable year in Tuscaloosa. Now, let's get into the tape, break down a couple of clips, give you some coal for that hype train that is already off and running. All right, this is week 6 at A&M, down 7 late in the third. I'm not trying to hear what A&M was or wasn't. This is a cannot lose situation, and don't worry about it, they didn't. Sorry to blow it for you. Let's look at this defense. This is pretty confusing right here. I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys down. This safety is going to sky down. Down here, we've got press the point and switch this group of receivers right here. So it's a bunch set. Typically, you're going to see straight man coverage. You're going to see a box the bunch where nobody's over the point man, or you're going to see a press the point and switch, which is what this ends up being. Another fancy way of saying this guy's going to sky down, this guy's coming. That's a 6-man rush, 6-man protection, and everybody else is playing man. Okay, so this is not just a great play by Jalen. This is a great play by his boy number 3. So the concept here, we're going to run shallow cross. We're going to have a wrap follow, and then we're going to come deep. And I don't know if he's running the dig. Kind of runs out of the screen. I can't really tell. Jalen's going to adjust to a bad snap, which was a theme this year. That running back's going to come and scan over here for the linebacker who's coming. Jalen feeling that bull rush, feeling that pressure, kicks back. And this is just drawing it up in the dirt, puts an absolute pill over this guy's shoulder, us or nobody ball. And if you go back to who it was, this is actually a shorter route. This is a wrap follow off of a shallow. And in zone coverage, we're just going to isolate, put this guy in a horizontal bind. Do I go in? Do I go out? It's horizontal, moving laterally. But what he ends up doing is runs his wrap follow, sees green grass, and jumps over the top. And Jalen, with pressure in his face, buys time, finds him, and that'll tie the game up. Jermaine Burton, by the way, peep him with the Bengals. If this guy can come in and buy in and learn from these other wideouts, Jermaine Burton started at Georgia, ended up at Bama, just drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. Might be a nice addition. Really good job by number 2, scanning. Again, look at where the snap is. So we love to keep our eyes downfield, find the defense, get your key defender, whatever. Doesn't matter. When the ball's at your right shoelaces, that jacks everything up. But Jalen gets his eyes to the right spot. Potentially has that wrap follow right there, but now we can see Jermaine Burton go, wait a second, there's nobody deep. And Jalen with a dude in his face without the ability to get his feet set. That's some ball placement. If you're going to throw that, it's got to be right there. So, play number 1. All right, this is a little later in the year. This is week 11 at Kentucky, up 7. But it's 3rd and 12, and people get jiggy on 3rd and 12 on D in the SEC. How about this for a defense to dissect? 3 deep. Okay, but underneath, these corners are going to sit right here. I don't know who's who personnel-wise, so this is some version of 3 double cloud. It's like cover 2 underneath, but it's like cover 3 over the top. A lot of problems. The only way you can do that is if you drop somebody and you end up dropping 8. So it's going to be a 3-man rush. Now, I kind of remember back to when Joe Burrow was at LSU, when he took a dump on college football, dropped 60 touchdowns against 6 picks and whatever the yards and completion percentage was. But I don't know why. Teams kept playing drop 8 on him. And he would drop back, he'd peek at the rush real quick, got 5 guys blocking 3, and he'd buy himself a ton of time, and it usually ended in a big play or touchdown. And that's exactly what's happening to Jalen. Now, sometimes when you have a fast quarterback, you either spy an extra defender or you drop 8, but whoever you're dropping better be able to tackle your quarterback in the open field. Now, the people they're dropping here, I know cannot tackle him in the open field. I don't know if anybody in Kentucky can tackle him in the open field. But either way, you're trying to win with confusion and drop people into zones. But when you do, you better have defensive integrity and understand leverages. So check this concept out. This is sick. Typically, if you're going to try and do something like this, we're calling this a pylon route. Different names for it, but I'm calling it a pylon. Typically, you want to run down the field and let this guy hit his head on the corner of the back pylon. You typically want to run somebody underneath to get this safety to cut it so that you can come over the top and hit this guy. Okay? But that's not what they do. They actually mix it up. It's really smart. So they're bringing him on the over route and they're allowing him to cut through. Now the problem is, it kind of takes forever. So if you're going to do that, you better buy time in the pocket and give yourself time and space to be able to make this throw. Enough talking. Let's watch him do it. So here he is. Another bad snap. Okay, 3 and a hitch from gun. He's still getting pressure. Climbs in the pocket. Finds his boy. And everyone in the crowd's going, blown coverage, wide open. No, not blown coverage. Just smart play design and great execution. Again, here comes the pylon. Here comes the crosser trying to get this dude to cut it. And then, oh, by the way, let's put him on a bench route so that this DB ends up cutting that and we get him out of the way. So Jalen sees all this, great coverage recognition. And as soon as he climbs, he sees this guy puts his hand, we call this a mailbox. You ever like have outgoing mail, you put the little red thing up? That's a mailbox. He just mailboxed him, put his hand up, give it to me. I don't want to hear how open he is. This ball hits him in the forehead. Great throw, great job buying time. If you're going to try and win with confusion versus Jalen, if you're going to try and keep him in the pocket, don't let him run. Well, I was going to give advice, but I'm not really sure what to do. All right, now final play. Last play, we saw them really attack the coverage. This is just straight mirrored concepts on both sides. This is as simple as it gets, but everybody's covered, so we got to make a play. So really what he's got here is seams or slot fades, and then he's just got locked hitches outside, okay? And then his running back is going to make a move and run a choice route, option route, balloon route, snow route, whatever. There's a bunch of different terms for it. Basically, he can go either way, working off that middle linebacker. So Jalen starts with his eyes left down here, doesn't really have the seam bender. The hit is looking inside, wants it, too late to throw late outside to the hitch. This is 2nd and 17. The slot fade up top's open, but you got to pick a side. You're not reading either side. So gets his eyes to the right, nothing's there. You can see him right here point to his running back. Let's go back and see where the back came from, okay? So he looking left, doesn't have it, tells the guy to go deep, puts a ton of stress. 54, watch 54. He's got to make a choice. He's been watching tape all week. He's not trying to be on Jalen Milroe's running highlight tape, getting shook in the open field, letting him rip off a 40-yarder. So he's got to make a decision, and this is what a mobile quarterback does to a defense. I was leaving the pocket to my right, and there's number 54 is covering the running back. He's going to continue to cover the running back. They're not worried about me trying to run on them. But when you got speed like Jalen, 54's got to make a choice, and it's not based off what they talked about all week. It's not based off of meetings. It's a split decision. Do I cover this guy or do I go get that guy? And he unfortunately chooses to go get Jalen. Jalen throws it right over his head. Nice little touch ball. His boy goes up and gets it. Yards after catch. Fight song. Bama people crushing bourbon in the stands. Super elusive. Just look at this real quick. Foot in the ground. Boom. He gone. Okay. Tells his boy to leave. Nice little touch ball over 54 who's jumping. This guy makes a play, and he's in the end zone because that's usually what Alabama dudes do when they catch the ball on the 10-yard line. They score. So looking back on it, 187 for 284. That's 65.8%. That's a great completion percentage, especially for a team who pushes the ball down the field. 23 touchdowns against 6 picks, but add 12 rushing touchdowns and 500 plus yards on the ground. Just compare that to Jaden Daniels. 72%, 3,800 yards, 40 touchdowns, 4 picks, and he had 1,100 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns. Also threw to 2 receivers who got drafted super high in the NFL draft, as opposed to what Milroe was thrown to last year, which great receivers at Alabama, really solid guys, but weren't selected in the top 10. The second piece to focus on is, we're talking about 2024 now. So what's he getting in Kalen DeBoer, this coach? So Michael Penix Jr., who was just selected 8th overall, I need to do a video on that. I get it. Throw it in the comment section if you want to. Atlanta Falcons decision video. But Michael Penix Jr. was 66.1%, basically the same. 35 touchdowns, 10 picks, and he led the country in big time throws, which is an actual stat. And so if you look at some of the pieces that Alabama has, Jalen Milroe getting an entire offseason as the starter, preparing for it, nobody on his heels, not worrying about anything. When you look at that, I just think it's the recipe for everything coming together. Now, again, I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I've spent time with this guy. Here's what I'll share. Super bought in, super smart, magnetic personality. He's just like all the things you want in a college quarterback. He's all the things you want in an NFL quarterback. But I think the addition of Kalen DeBoer, even though he's replacing the greatest coach in college football history and all that stuff, I don't know. If you're a quarterback, I think this is the guy you want coming in and shaking things up and changing some of the ways that you think about productivity on offense and how to win games, because Jalen Milroe has done this at several different schools, several different levels with several different quarterbacks. Might be the most athletic quarterback he's had and the biggest stage he's been on. And so I just think if I'm a chef and I'm sitting here, I'm going, this is all the ingredients I need to cook up something special in 2024.